CNN, Jack Smith wants Donald Trump. So this guy, Jack Smith, is the
prosecutor.
The prosecutor that's trying to get the Trump's trial
for what?
Before as speedy as possible. Watch this. Watch what they say about it on CNN. Watch what they say about it on CNN.
Agree with me that Smith and Judge Chutkan are acting based on the election schedule.
I do agree with you, Michael, and I think
So they're acting based on the election. So that's bad. That they're doing this so they could get this trial in before the election to damage Trump before the elect. That's what they're saying. Follow-up question. Has this judge already decided that Trump's guilty too? Or are they going to wait till the trial to blurt that out? Okay, so listen to what this guy says.
Fair-minded observer has to agree with that as well. Just look at Jack Smith's conduct in this case. The motivating principle behind every procedural request he's made has been speed, has been getting this trial in before the election. Let's take a couple examples. The trial date. The average federal conspiracy and fraud trial takes about 1.5 to 2 years between indictment and trial. In this case, we have dozens, hundreds of January 6 rioters caught on video, straightforward cases. They too were given about 1.5 to 2 years between indictment and trial. Jack Smith originally requested a trial date for Donald Trump, a far more complex case, 5 months out. He wanted a January trial. It was set for 2 months later. So Donald Trump is being given far less time to prepare than other defendants. And the actions this week. Jack Smith won an argument on immunity in the district court and then went right to the Supreme Court. I think a right move. I think the smart move. The only reason you ask the Supreme Court to do that on an expedited basis is if you're racing against the clock. And Jack Smith clearly is doing that here.
Okay, I referred to the election as the Voldemort of the petition that he filed. Why not say that? Why not simply say there's an election on the horizon and I'm afraid this guy's going to get away?
You will never hear either Jack Smith or Judge Chutkan utter the E word, election. They will not specifically say it. Instead, they use this sort of euphemistic language about the need for resolution, that kind of thing. Here's why I think Jack Smith is not willing to do it. 2 reasons. First of all, DOJ rules, unwritten and written, both say you are not supposed to do anything that could impact an election. In fact, you are supposed to affirmatively try not to take steps that might impact an election. And the second thing, and I think Jack Smith is right about this, is if he is to say, okay, Judge, we really need to try this case before the election, Donald Trump is going to seize on that aggressively. He's going to say, see, folks, when I tell you this is political, Jack Smith has now admitted that he wants me tried before the election, and that's political. So I think he's very wary of that.
He's going to seize on the truth.
Okay, so then evaluate we agree.
He's going to seize on the truth. Yeah.
This ain't really helping it either, by the way, you guys' discussion that you all seem to be aware. So we all know that's what this is, something that's should lose immediately because it's I got to think illegal, isn't it?
It seems illegal. It seems to go against Department of Justice guidelines, but it's amazing how quick the right to a speedy trial comes back when an establishment wants it, isn't it?
Obama banished him. We need a speedy trial as quick as Me Too goes away when it's Tara Reid.
I hope they appoint the appropriately creepy-looking judge.
That guy.
Yeah.
Something ain't right.
Here we go.
We agree that he is acting, Judge Chutkan is acting with an eye toward the election calendar. Now I want to hear Elie Honig assess the propriety of him doing exactly what he's doing. Because on one hand, you could say, well, he's being political. On the other hand, I guess you would say, Elie, like you probably back in the day, he's an aggressive prosecutor. He's worked the case up. He wants to get before a jury.
Right. I don't like the artifice here. I don't like the game playing, the wordsmanship that we're seeing. I think Jack Smith ought to just come out and say it or not. Here's the arguments both ways. First of all, if Jack Smith is trying to get this case tried before the election, and he clearly is, look, that is political. I mean, the counter argument would be, well, Jack Smith just wants the American voters to have resolution before they go to the ballot box. And I understand that. As a voter, I would like to know. But here's the problem with that argument, Michael. Jack Smith doesn't just want to get this trial done and let the chips fall where they may and let the consequences be what they can be. He's the prosecutor. He believes this case. He wants this case to result in conviction. And so his position isn't just, well, I want this case tried before the election. His position really, as a practical matter, is I want Donald Trump convicted before the election. I have no problem with the first part of that. It's his job to want and try to convict Donald Trump now that he's indicted. But the second part of that, before the election, that's where it crosses the line to the political, in my view.
Well, even CNN. So that's I mean, it's Smerconish. So I don't know how they let him have a show
because he went from being right wing conservative on the radio to the establishment Nikki Haley style uniparty dipshit.
He did tell the truth about masks, and he confronted Fauci on it. Remember that? That was him.
I forgot about that.
That was him. And now it seems like he's admitting that this is a completely political prosecution, or at least the timing of it is.
Wow, he's only half an idiot. Good for him.
And, well, I got an update. The Supreme Court has denied Jack Smith's request for an expedited review of the case against Trump. There won't be a trial in D.C. before the 2024 election. This is a big loss for the special counsel.
What was this trial about? Not the same as Letitia James.
I don't know. I don't even know what this one was about.
What nonsense thing was this about?
Is that he asked his lawyer a question? Maybe is that Trump was consulting with his lawyer? I don't know. You look it up.
Was it Yeah. Is it like Stormy Daniels related? I like that one where they're like, like if I were Chris Titus, God bless his old show, they think he paid to have a prostitute shut up, and his people still follow him. Yes, Christopher.
Yes.
In fact, I think better of him that he paid a dumb porn star to shut her trap. That's not.
Instead of just having her killed.
Yeah, like he did the kinder, gentler thing. Tara Reid had to run off to Moscow, and she didn't even want to do.
That's right.
The stuff Joe Biden.
It would have been better if Joe Biden paid her off.
I'm sorry to bring up Titus, but I just happened to say it. It's amazing how dumb that podcast is. The Christopher Titus podcast.
Oh, Chris Titus? Oh, I like Chris. I mean, Chris is always, he was always nice to me when I opened for him.
He doesn't know jack shit, and they only talk about.
But I will say that we totally disagree on politics. And when I did go, I was invited on his show one time, and we yelled at each other the entire time. The entire time we screamed at each other. I've never been on a podcast like that in my entire life. It was so weird. Oh,
he's got a similar background to you, though. Yeah, but the dad that's like some weird thing happened and not enough. Oh, that must have been a clash of the...
If you go back and listen to me on Chris Titus's podcast, it will be hilarious.
Is he Irish?
I don't know.
He should be.
But we totally disagree on politics.
All they talk about is Trump. No other thing going on.
There's nothing else going on except Trump and racism.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we totally disagree on politics. I mean, he was also for these... But like the rest of the comedy community... You're a dummy if you do your own research and just take the jab and don't question Big Pharma or Fauci or anything. And if you do, you're a crazy right winger. That was all comedy did that. Almost all the comedy did that. Most of the people I look up to in comedy did that.
He's so happy to go to be in that circle of like he got a TV deal and all that these are the good people and I'm with good people. Like people that are in that circle, they can't.
I mean, Chris was always nice to me. He was always a good guy to me. So,
well, maybe he's cool. His takes with his podcast are so dumb.
I disagree with his politics for sure. I wouldn't say he's dumb. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we disagree. But I was disappointed, and a lot of people. I mean, and I don't want to. I don't like to name names. I did name David Cross the other day because he's a superstar. So it's
also he should know better.
And of course he should know better.
You know, and Me Too, he got screwed with the most bullshit
thing.
Remember
that?
And then his own wife had to condemn him. And then I know from friends of her going, "Can you believe I had to do that? How ridiculous that is." No, you didn't have to do that, sweetie. To your husband, you didn't have to. You could have said, "That's bullshit." It wasn't anything sexual. It was Charlene Yee said one time at a party.
He said something that made her uncomfortable.
He said, "Yeah." I couldn't believe it. And they threw that in with people talking about sexual assault as if it's anywhere near.
But he got through that without any problems, right?
Well, because his wife publicly sold him out, and I guess
is that really happened? What's his wife's name?
I forget. She's an actress, and she
Amber Tamberlin.
Yeah, she went on Twitter. I mean, honestly,
I would divorce
someone because they did that.
She really, come on.
What do you think I'm making it up? She's on Twitter. She was like, "Oh, this is..."
No.
Yes. And so what I'm telling you is, which I take it with a grain of salt because this was not on Twitter, she was like, "I can't believe I had to do that. Can you?" I mean, it's so ridiculous. So obviously she didn't believe the bogus ass thing. But Me Too, if you recall, was very important. Great movement that Bill Maher still thinks was overall a good movement, even though he's exonerated Andrew Cuomo on his show.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
It just went a little too far, the lack of due process. Not the very concept of no due process going too far. It just went a little too far. I guess also with Biden. That was a little too far.
But anyway, just recap. I respect Chris Titus for what he accomplished in show business. He created that show. Norman Rockwell is bleeding. Everybody and their brother told him not to do it. Everybody, comedy, his calendar fell in half. People didn't want to book him anymore because he was doing that show. He stuck by his guns. I mean, he went from being a happy-go-lucky comedian to being this guy with this dark story to tell. And they didn't want him to tell it, and he told it, and that's what gave him that television show. And that television show was great. It was a great television show with Stacy Keach.
As great. I used to love that show.
I love that show
on Fox. I watch it.
It was great. It was a great show.
I really did like it. Stacy Keach is his dad.
Stacy Keach is the
Stacey
dad.
Keach is tremendous.
The show was great.
His takes on politics are as bad as that was good. So think of how good his show was. His ideas about Trump and Biden.
But he's no different than. I mean, I agree.
I think it's worse.
I disagree with his guy.
Bill Maher has figured out Biden's a vegetable by now. Bill Maher has figured that out.
Come on, Chris Titus is my buddy. I mean, 99% of
love that show. I cannot deny I did used to love that.
That was a great show.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a great show. And so then he took me on the road with them, and he was very generous, very nice guy, and very funny. So tip of the hat. But we disagree on politics.
If only there were a vaccine for TDS.
Come see us do a live stand-up show. We'll be in Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Boston, Massachusetts, and we're going to Europe. Do you live in Europe? We're going to be there. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.